Well, hi everybody. I am going to make a £20 pot, a £20 bit of clay. I have made it before. It was for a commission for a new bird water feature, and I wasn't happy with the bottom one. The others went really well. I learnt some new techniques with the top one. So this is me just showing you. This is a Hartley and Noble bat system that I have. The system where it's cut out. You'll be seeing this a lot online at the moment. Joe Thompson at Old Forge uses them, and they're actually in my town. They're in Northampton, based at Wellingborough in Northampton in the UK. And what I got with my bat system was an extra large bat that is trimmed out from the back, and it goes into the cutout that sits over. I haven't at this stage got any pegs, and I'm managing to throw big pieces of clay without needing the pegs, though I did have it shift a little bit the other day, so I was a bit unsure. So that's going to go over the top. That now is a bat within a bat, if that makes sense. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to centre this using the way where you have 4 balls of clay, each are about £5 each, and you centre on top and centre on top. So that that's really going to be probably the first video. I'll cut it off there because quite a few people have asked me how I'm managing to centre such large pieces of clay. So what I've done with each piece of clay is I've done a cut wedging system, and so I know all of the layers are like this at the moment, and then I've made it into a circular ball. Then you sort of do a round technique here so that you then have something to capture. I don't know why people do this little wipe of water. Would be good to know that. But basically I'm going to go on with the first piece, and I'm going to make it as close to centre as possible, and making sure that it's stuck down as well as I can. And then when I am going to use a sponge, this clay, I'm going to pause it for a second because this clay is grogged and I get very, very sore hands, and I tried doing my clay work with gloves on and it worked very well for me. I don't do it when it's not grog clay, but this cuts me up a bit, so I'm going to just put my gloves on. Right, I think the point to make here is that the grogged with these, I'm not going to draw up and down really at all. I will draw up a little bit to help me centre, but I'm not drawing up and down to exercise the clay so that the clay is then easily movable and pliable. I've already done that in my wedging technique. I'm learning spiral wedge. I'm doing quite well with that, but I'm still finding that I'm not strong enough, and it may be my table height's too high, but I don't trust that I'm getting all the air out. Whenever I do trust it, I have still got air. So I'm then typically using a cut and slab it on top of each other, divide it up and slab it. So, right, so the first piece, I'm just going to put some pressure around the outside to make sure that it's joined, and I'm going to cover it with, and then my technique is this arm will always be pushing against the left hand side of my hip, and I'm doing a lot of the technique using a wet sponge and drawing up. You can see that's off centre at the moment. If I push in there at the moment, I can already work that towards becoming centred, but I'm going to go up a bit with this one, so I'm going to push in and draw up with this, but putting pressure on the left hand hip and pressing forward at the same time. So this hand is actually putting a lot of pressure down, and I'm going up, drawing up, drawing up, drawing up, drawing up. Make sure I've got enough water, and then I'm going to push. I'm going to go a bit faster actually there. I went quite slow with that, and I don't think I have it all on really fast. So we are putting a bit more water on, making sure the gloves are nice and lubricated again. Pushing with this hip in here, and my hand is rigid, and pushing with my right hand. And realistically that is already nearly centered. So because It's a bit different when you've got gloves on. I'm gonna push again with this hand, but I'm going to start using my right hand now to push as well and start shaping the piece. So this is always working hard. As you can see, there's a lot of pressure going on there. I need to just make sure that I don't run out of lubrication. And then this one is coming in to make sure it feels like it's square. I've just realised that I've not put my apron on, and I get really mucky with this, so I will pause the camera in a second before I put the next piece on. Now you can see that that is already pretty good. Now then, if I want to really feel that it's safe and it's square, I'm going to grab it with both hands. That is going to stay pressuring there, but this is going to be pushing now with the outside fingers to feel. And I can feel that it's rocking. Can you see that it's sort of rocking on the top part? I think the hardest thing with the gloves is making sure you've got enough. So let me go down again. I can see there's a little bit of, and I'm just gonna use my little finger is rubbing on the outside. In fact, what I'll do is I will move myself round here in my chair, and then you can see. So I'm round the side of my wheel now, but that might be a good way of you seeing that I'm now putting these fingers, putting pressure with my left hand, pushing down with this finger, and these are curled if they need to be. But I can feel that it's dead centered now. Now I might have a bit of movement on the top, so to make sure that I don't have that, I'm just going to put that part of my hand into the top of this, and I don't want any dents in the top of here, because we're actually going to put another piece of clay on the top. So I'm going to just level that out. One thing you do want to do is always take that excess slip off. If for any reason the clay gets pushed over, on one of the videos it said don't have the clay underneath. I think that would be Matthew Kelly who probably said that. So we're now happy that we have that piece centered. Now before we put the next bit on the top, we want to dry this top bit off. Now one thing I do to make sure is I'm sort of in control, is just tidying myself up between each ball I put on. I've got towels everywhere, so I basically just will wipe myself down, make sure my hands are dry, and then what I'm going to do is grab a metal, just come around a bit, a metal thingy, and just take the top off of this so it's dry, and I'm ready then to put the next piece on. Okay, right, we're recording again. So now I've got my next piece of clay. I didn't weigh these, but they are easily not far off the £5 each. And I'm going to just sit that on here and have a look. And I'm going to put some weight pressure on it. Again, get that bit as centered as I can in its own right. And you can see that the bottom piece is just bubbling over, it's just pushing over, and that's fine. Let me get my... Okay, so again, just get everything moist on the top piece, and I'm going to put pressure in where the join is, and this straight away is pressure with my left hip. I'm not really digging it into the hip, I'm actually using my shoulder pressure more than I am thinking that I need to make my leg do any work. It really is just shoulder pressure, and the hardest thing, as I said, is just getting enough of the clay onto the gloves. But that then, I'm going to put pressure on both sides, so I'm drawing that one up now, and then pressure down. I'm not going to worry about that other one going out of shape. I'm going to pull the other one out of shape in a minute. Again, we don't want any slip between these two pieces of clay, but I find that then when I just push like that, I'll put a little bit more water on, when I push like that, it sort of goes straight into being quite centered. So what we're going to do is I don't need the thing for a minute, I'm just going to lubricate it up, and I'm going to again put my pressure with my left hand and think about what this part of my hand is doing. So the pressure is coming on, and that's near enough level again. That's centered then, and that is all pressure with this part on the left hand side. So let's just give it a feel what it feels like. It is, you know, don't be scared to shut your eyes. There's a little bit of an oscillation happening at the top again here. I'm quite happy for now that the bottom is nearly there. I'm going to just take that out a bit so it's a bit flatter, because this is going to be, as I said, a big bowl, as big as it can be, leaving a good inch plus of clay at the bottom, so I can turn it upside down and trim the base into the part that the next bowl sits on top of for the water feature, if that makes sense. Okay, so again, let me just take my time, just see how it feels, no rush. Do you know, the amount of stress and upset you get with centering when you're first learning and the pressure you put on yourself, I would say just watch videos. I learned so much from the main ones really is Shin, I must look his name up, it's H-S-I-N, he's got lots on YouTube, John the Potter, Matthew Kelly, and I'm now watching a lot of Florian Gadsby, and the last one in there would be Joe Thompson at Old Forge. All of those have been really helpful for me. As you know, I am now 2 years and 2 months into this learning curve. I started February 2 years ago. It's absolutely lovely here today in the UK. It's the first day that the weather is warm enough to open the pottery doors, put a pair of shorts on and feel that we're actually got a bit of summer coming in. So I'm just going to flatten that bit with the side of my hand. I'm going to get my metal tool. We're going to just take all of the slip off the top of that so the next ball sits on it, and we'll grab the next ball. Now, I didn't clean my hands. I don't like to do that. I like to keep my hands clean because I like dry hands on the piece of dry clay when I'm working out what I do with it. So let's just take that off and then do this. Okay, so again, slightly beveled underneath, so there's a place for it to sit on and grip. Get it lubricated up. It's off centre quite a lot, this one. Remember, this is going to push in this way, it's going to push over, but this is always catching it on the other side. I'm not doing the bottom part of clay, I'm doing the top part, and straight away that is now push that into a much more central place. That's fine. Then a bit faster, work down. I don't have my wheel right up. I do move it up and down depending on what I think. Remember, no slip in that section. And then just join the clay with the top bit. Okay, so a bit of pressure to make that bit of clay go down. I had my table, my wheel on legs last year. I was getting a lot of back pain. I was trying too hard with my throwing, I think. My centering. I love doing big bits of clay. I love throwing big bits of clay. And I was putting an awful lot of pressure on myself. Like this might be too much for what I'm trying to make. £20 is a lot of clay. It probably could have been less. I think I did 17 the last time. Again, a lot of that I'm doing a lot of that centralising with that part of my hand. And I can then just feel it. It is hard to feel what's going on when you need to make sure there's enough it's runny and slippery enough when you're doing this. But what also I don't want to do is work with too much moisture, too much water. This is actually the other pot broken up and recycled, and I've been drying it out and wedging it till I thought it's about the right consistency. So what I don't want to do is add lots and lots and lots of water to it. I want to just use the slip or very minimal amount of water. Now there's something you can do if you're worried in any way when you're getting into bigger bits, and I've seen a lot of people do it and I've done it myself, is don't be scared to put a trimming tool in here. So if I was to explain what I mean by that, she says, trying to find a tool. If you've got one of your wooden tools, if you feel that you're not quite on central, you want to check, don't be scared to just take that down like that. I know that that is now centered, but it just shows you can, you know, you don't have to think you're cheating if you use a tool to get yourself to be centered, because if you want to have a go at throwing big pieces of clay, that's what you have to do. The hardest bit I find, and I'm still learning and I'm still finding it very difficult, is how to open the middle the best way so that I don't end up with the whole thing moving. And that is what I think is just time, and don't rush it and be delicate with it. There was one thing that somebody said was just take your hands away very slowly. If you rush and take your hands away, you can throw the whole thing off center. And it's really important that we don't do that. Okay. And then dry that top bit off so it's the same. Okay. Okay, so just keep yourself dry, clean, make sure everything's what you're doing, and then I might just go to the bigger. Again, I'm going to put pressure in here and capture it with this part of my hand. Putting down. The one thing I'm sure a lot of other people have is glasses. When you wear glasses, I changed from trying reading glasses to varifocals, and what bit do I want to see in focus. Again, just watch that you've got no slip between the joins so that when you go down it actually is joining for yourself. Okay. Big bit of clay, isn't it? I might be being silly. I don't really need this much clay, I'm sure. And there'll be loads cut off. Half of it will be cut off, if not more. I just want to make sure that this piece that I'm making is what we want it to be. Right, so I'm just going to centre this top piece. What I'm doing now is I'm pulling it out gently, bit by bit, to try and make it the base be, because what I want is I want this to go up and round, with the hole being, I think 17 centimetres is actually the hole that I've got, but I want an inch, a good inch of clay at least at the bottom of this, so that I can carve it away when I turn it over. Let's see where we're at with that. Okay, so that's centred for me. Don't know what it looks like on the camera, but it feels centred. And a little bit out maybe. I always find that, I find quite often that you can feel you're in centre. And I think we all, when we've got a piece nearly in centre or very, very close, we learn how to mould it, work it so that it, you know, centering is not going to stay there if you, you know, you can very easily just knock it off centre, and then all the work you do now anyway is gone. Okay, so to get the middle bit, what I've been doing and learning is basically just feeling it. Let's just make that a bit flatter on the top. With the top of the side of my hand. Oh, and that won't help me, will it? Because that straight away now means I've got a bit of a ripple. Right. So now it's going in here. It's now getting what I haven't mastered this bit at all, as I say when I'm doing it, but what I found is that I tend to go down a bit and draw it out.
So what I'm going to do, just going to fast forward now, let you see it all collapse. But for anybody that wants to not watch the end, then please jump to the next video. The next video is going to be me centering in my normal time without me talking, and you'll see how much faster I do it and how little amount of water I put on when I'm just concentrating on the piece of clay and not the video as well. So I hope this has been very helpful for you all, and lets you understand the way I've learnt to do the pieces of clay in that weight. Speak to you soon. Bye bye. You can see in a minute when I start drawing up that I get lots of clay coming off. Now, this has happened to me before, and I presumed that it was to do with how I'd wedged the clay. In hindsight, looking back at the video, I think this is because water's being trapped or it's got too much water involved in the pot, and you can see the difficulty I'm having with it when I'm drawing up. It's gone very off centre then. I've started to draw up too quickly, and yeah, it just explains something to me again about this steady steady, slow nature you have to when you're drawing up such a big piece of clay.
Fail, fail. It's all cracked. So there you go. Didn't work. Got to do it again. But at least we've all learnt something from it. Let me bring the camera around and show you what happened. As a reclaimed bit of clay, it just all collapsed on me. So
this is a reminder. Time to stop putting.
stop pottering. So there you go, guys. Fail. Watch this space for the next attempt.
This is a reminder.
Yeah, it is reclaimed clay. Right, guys, so here's the fail. What do I do with it? I suppose I could have cut it in half and see what the issue was, but get this off here. So my base was thick, which is what I wanted. And time to re-wedge. Get it dried out again and try again. I'm actually waiting for new clay to come in, but it's not in the country at the minute because I've got to have things matching. But there you go. All that effort. So it happens to the best of us. Still lots to learn.